I did all I could to control myself.
Try me.
Yeah.
I'll knock you down like I knocked trees down all my life.
Get out of my way.
I'm telling you, I'll put you through the wall.
Get out of my...
I don't give a damn. You and your Constitution, you can stick it.
I did all I could to control myself.
Let me see. It is what it is. I'll fill in the blanks.
I could get arrested.
Yes. It's up to the court. You got physical with somebody that, for the most part, you really had no reason to be physical with.
I didn't want to go.
Because he was filming.
Upstairs.
I know, but for what? For what? He's filming. What is he doing? Why can't he go upstairs? It's a public building. It's City Hall, for Christ's sake.
The video reveals that Sergeant in question is accused of coaching the suspect and providing false information regarding the submission of an arrest warrant. The exact nature of the coaching is not explicitly stated in the provided text. However, it suggests that the sergeant may have been guiding or instructing the suspect on how to handle the situation or interact with law enforcement. Furthermore, the video implies that the sergeant may have lied about submitting an arrest warrant. The context surrounding this claim is unclear, as the specific details or reasons for the alleged arrest warrant are not provided. It remains uncertain whether the arrest warrant was necessary or if the sergeant's statement regarding its submission was accurate.
So why did you touch him?
He got right in my face. I didn't shut. I was, like one of these things. I mean, he's letting you think I formed him or something. But he kept getting
I saw the video.
Yeah.
You pushed him a couple times.
So I just, kind of, but he wanted to go upstairs, and I wasn't going to let him. We're supposed to, I was telling your sergeant, I said, that Les and Dean, they were supposed to give me forms. They want a form. Tell him to...
Someone needs to fill in for you.
Put it on the desk.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll see you later because I gotta go to town.
Okay.
What time do they close tonight? You know?
So we're open till 6:30 tonight. I'm gonna be closed now.
So he kept getting in my face, and I didn't like it, to be honest with you. And I did all I could to control myself. I said, until we get these
why
forms...
did you even try and stop him from
Because I was told last night, I spoke to Dean and I talked to Les. They're supposed to have forms. As we speak right now, I think they're supposed to get... He has to fill out a form before he starts rolling the tape.
The police officer addressed the security guard, acknowledging their role in maintaining order within the building. They discussed the incident involving an individual who was filming and walking around in a public place. The officer emphasized that the situation did not warrant the use of physical force to restrain the person. Recognizing the issue at hand, the officer mentioned needing to review 20 minutes of video footage. They advised the security guard to contact the police immediately in similar situations without engaging in conversation with the individual.
You need to articulate why you used physical force in this. No matter how minor, whether it's just, a push or a light, I'm not going to do it to you because then I'm not going to use physical force by you.
But he gets in my... I didn't go up there. He kept getting in my face.
Say that. Yeah, say that. And now be mindful that there is a video of the entire thing.
Yeah. We say it was 2 weeks ago when he was here, or 3 weeks? I don't know. Oh, shit.
It doesn't, it's not
Can I do
important.
this alone? I'm trying to...
It's not important. Yeah, I can stand out here. Just make sure no one else comes in.
The police officer stressed that using physical force, regardless of its severity, should only be employed when absolutely necessary. They clarified that in the situation discussed, the person's actions of filming and walking around in a public place did not reach a level of disruption that would warrant any form of physical restraint. The officer emphasized the importance of exercising caution and avoiding the use of force unless it becomes absolutely unavoidable. Furthermore, they reminded the security guard about the existence of video evidence capturing the entire incident, highlighting the need for careful consideration and adherence to proper procedures.
Held my ground. I held my ground in the interest of
Safety and City Hall.
All right, continue on the back. This is not finished yet. First of all, so you need to elaborate. After the last incident, right?
Yeah.
This is why I should have stayed in here and done it with you.
Yeah.
After the last incident,
Yeah.
you were instructed by who? Names. Who told you that no one is allowed to film in here unless they fill out this card that was never provided
This was
to
just
you?
told to
Do you
me
see what I'm
last
saying?
night.
There's a big difference between you saying you're not allowed in here filming, leave, and then you getting in his way listen to me.
The individuals shared their experience describing how they stood their ground amidst the tense situation. They emphasized feeling secure within the confines of the studio, ensuring their personal safety. The conversation continued and they requested further elaboration. They referred to a previous incident, mentioning that they had received instructions from someone, whose name they wanted to know, regarding the prohibition of filming in the area unless a specific card was filled out.
Can I see?
It's all over the place. I gotta get it to now how he refuses to take cards. And, you know. It's like we're coming down a one-way street.
639, 607.
Also, Mr. Reyes walked right around me and did not fill out the proper entry, proper forms when he came in.
The cops then tell the security guard to fill out the form properly.
All visitors must sign in.
Okay, I know.
All visitors must sign in. It's everywhere. So we're gonna have stickers soon. Anybody recording must fill out a form.
I know. Well, I'm glad they did that so quickly since the last incident. Hopefully, these guys go to bat for you too, in that they told you that you're supposed to stop anybody.
Don't. You know, hey, Sarah, I'm sorry right now.
And not for nothing.
Yeah.
Sergeant Acabel also clearly stated that Phil's actions constituted an assault or, at the very least, disorderly conduct. So why did Sergeant Jacobellis never write a warrant for Phil's arrest? Was it because they had a relationship prior to this incident? It seemed pretty obvious to the observer that Sergeant Acabel was helping Phil write a statement and that the situation became even more perplexing. Not only did Sergeant Jacobellis refrain from writing a warrant for Phil's arrest, but he ultimately wrote a warrant for the observer's arrest, who is currently on trial. Thus, the real question arises: who influenced Sergeant Jacobellis? Was it the president of the police union, Michael Farrell, who coincidentally arrested the observer later that same day? Or perhaps it was someone at the state attorney's office, or even someone with significant influence in City Hall? It leaves one pondering if Sergeant Jacobellis is merely a two-faced tyrant. Unfortunately, the answers to these questions may remain forever elusive. However, what is known is that an innocent man who peacefully exercised his rights was threatened, assaulted, denied justice, and ultimately arrested. Here's our next investigation.
You can't record inside the building.
I have a law right here.
First, you're gonna have to step out for me.
Please don't touch me.
Step out.
Don't touch me.
Alright, so step out the
Don't
facility.
touch me.
Alright, so step out the facility.
Hey, get off of me. Get off of me.
Alright, now we can talk.
I'm getting my property.
In a concerning incident, an NYPD officer has been captured on camera attempting to delete a journalist's footage. The journalist had requested to speak with a supervisor but was disregarded. The officer accused the journalist of trespassing and initiated an arrest. However, the journalist argued that he had the right to record under New York State and city law. Despite the officer confiscating the journalist's phone, the journalist criticized the NYPD for violating constitutional rights and pledged to take legal action against the unlawful policies. The incident highlights the ongoing debate surrounding the freedom of the press and the accountability of law enforcement.
You can't record inside the building. I'm gonna ask you to step out.
Can I
ask you to step out?
supervisor?
First, you're gonna have to step out.
I have a law right here. You want
Alright,
to
first, you're gonna have to step out for me.
Please don't touch me.
Alright, so step out.
Don't touch me.
Alright, so
Don't
step out
touch
the
me.
facility. Alright, so step out the facility. Sir, right now you're trespassing.
Don't touch me.
Right now you're trespassing.
Hey,
I'm gonna need
get
you to
off
step
of me.
out. Alright,
Get
no
off of
problem.
me.
Alright,
Get
now
off
we
of
can
me.
talk.
Get
now
off
we
of
can
me.
talk outside.
Read the law that says I have the right
we
to
can
do
talk
it.
outside. Now
You're a
we can
law
talk.
enforcement officer. Read the law. It's felony.
You wanted to talk? We
I'm
can talk.
going inside where I have the
You're
right
not
to
going
record.
inside.
I do. I have the right to record.
Alright, you're trespassing.
I'm not.
I asked you to
Nope.
leave and you refused
I'm
to
not
leave.
trespassing.
Now you're
I'm
not. Now
trespassing.
you're not because you're outside. So
No,
let's
I'm not
talk.
trespassing in a building that I pay
Alright,
for
so
either.
let's talk.
The journalist seeks to speak to a supervisor, but his request is dismissed. Despite asserting his right to record based on New York State and city law, the officer accuses him of trespassing and attempts to arrest him. The journalist's effort to engage with a higher authority goes unanswered, raising concerns about transparency and accountability within the police force. The incident highlights the ongoing struggle to protect citizens' constitutional rights to record law enforcement activities and calls for further examination of policies that may impede such rights.
You guys are out of
Have a
control.
good day, man. Coming through those doors. If he grabs them, he's trespassing. He was right inside. You got cuffs? You got cuffs? Put your hands behind your back.
Look at the law. I'm not resisting.
Alright, so put your hands behind your back. Alright, so put your hands behind your back.
I'm not resisting.
Alright, good.
I'm not resisting.
Alright.
There you go. Read this law, by the way. What am I arrested for?
Trespassing. I told you not to step into the police facility.
Don't take it. I'm not resisting.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I'll delete. I'll shut it off. He's allowed to record. My camera's still on, by the way.
Look, and the other one is coming.
It's fine. I'll talk to him too.
I'm not resisting.
I'm not telling you you're resisting. I'm checking your pockets in case you have
I'm
any.
just making sure that you know I'm not resisting. That's all. I'm not resisting at all.
You were looking for this.
I was looking for what?
This interaction.
I was looking for you to take away my freedom? Why would I want you to take away my freedom?
You can't come in. Don't come in.
Why would I want you to take away my freedom for?
You mind just getting out of here?
Yeah, I got you.
Read the law. Remember what came with me? You don't like,
right?
you don't like transparency. I have $19 and $1,000 on it, so please don't take my money. That's the idea.
Anything else?
You want to read that law? There's a law.
Take a look at it.
I'm being serious with you. But what I'm saying is, you arrested me on what? Go ahead. I'm arrested. I'm placed under arrest for what? For what? For what crime? No. For what crime? For trespassing. How does trespassing, officer? How does it supersede?
The officer accused the journalist of trespassing and tried to arrest him. However, the journalist vehemently argued that he had the right to record the encounter, citing New York state and city law. The officer went against the journalist's claims and even confiscated his phone in an attempt to delete the footage. This confrontation highlights the ongoing debate regarding the rights of individuals to record police interactions. It raises concerns about the infringement of constitutional rights and the need for transparency and accountability within law enforcement.
I got you.
This is ridiculous. This is 100% ridiculous.
75 days.
I have a right to be in this building, just like anyone else has a right to be in this building.
There's also rules, you know. What you
the law?
Listen to me.
Sergeant,
Listen to me. Wait, let me talk. Listen.
I can't hear it.
Would you go to a library and call the ruckus?
I'm not causing ruckus.
Wait.
Peacefully recording. That's not
We're
causing a
telling
ruckus.
you to remove yourself from here.
For what reason? For what lawful reason?
Answer that question. Would you do that?
What lawful
reason? Would you go to a library and do that?
Sir, I came here with, you guys are law enforcement officers. I came here with a law.
All right.
I came here with a law.
All right.
To show you, and you don't want to see the law. None of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different law enforcement. I have a right to record by New York State and New York City law. New York State and New York City law gives me the right to record.
Yeah, but when they tell you and give you a law,
no, it doesn't. Read the law. It's laminated right there for you.
All right, fine.
The journalists involved in the incident received body camera footage as part of their criminal case. While reviewing the footage, they discovered an unidentified female officer saying, "Delete that blank."
That's information to knowingly impersonate an accident as a police officer.
You have everything you need on my license right there.
I'm asking you, what's your name?
It's on my license. We're on ball. Great. That's my name. Oh, right there on the website. There's absolutely no reason for any of this. Zero. Zero reason for this.
What's your phone number?
You don't need my phone number. It's a spot on your paper. You don't need it. You need my name, date of birth, address.
Alright, so you're refusing to give a phone number.
You have my.
I don't have your phone number. That's what I'm asking you. You're refusing.
You don't need it. Is it a crime for me not to give you my number?
That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, are you refusing to give me your phone number?
Yes, I'm refusing to give you my phone number. You don't need it.
Alright, that's not what I asked.
The journalist expresses that this statement doesn't come as a shock, as it reflects the mentality of some officers who oppose public recording in police precincts. They assert that the NYPD has been violating constitutional rights and state and city laws for years.
Read New York City law. You know that, right?
You know how much you have?
It's $1,000 in cash.
Can count in front of you again, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000.
$1,000 in cash. Correct.
All right, you
Alright, so
look at the law, Sergeant. Sergeant, look at the law.
Sir, are you hurt or injured?
How are you?
Look at your law,
sir. I don't know if I'm injured.
Do you need medical attention?
No, I don't need. He said no already. Sergeant, look at the law. I'm trying to tell you that there is a law.
Right, I don't need a
what am I being? I'm arrested for. Being arrested for trespassing.
1120.
I want you to look at the law because it's very important. You are a law enforcement officer, Sergeant. You should really look at the law.
Determined to bring about change, the journalist pledges to use their power to abolish the unconstitutional and unlawful policy. They express gratitude for the support received and anticipate forthcoming federal and state lawsuits.
Enforcers of law who are tasked with maintaining public order, protecting individuals and property, and preventing and investigating crimes. That is what being a police officer means, or at least that's what they are trying to do. Instances have aroused where police officers have misused their authority, employed excessive force, and violated people's rights, particularly those from marginalized communities, leading to distrust and fear of law enforcement. Are they subjected to such power? What are the legal repercussions for them, however? And most of all, would they be treated differently when compared to the masses? Join us as we take a closer look at two of the most uncanny cases that could make question the judicial system as a whole. Our first case kicks off with the case of Harold Hill, which is just a perfect example of how our justice system can go wrong. This case definitely checks all the boxes, including a horrific rape and murder, as well as a mishandled conviction, you name it. So then what went about? Let's start with the so-called beacons of justice, Kenneth Bordeaux and John Halloran, the detectives who were assigned to the case and the beacons of law. They were the ones who managed to extract a confession from Peter Williams, who was later discovered to have been in custody when the crime was committed. How did they even produce a fabricated confession from someone who wasn't even present? Hill claims he was physically and mentally tortured until he confessed to crimes he didn't commit. Is this the kind of conduct we anticipate from our law enforcement personnel? The trial itself was held when Hill was 31 years old, despite the fact that he was only 16 at the time of the crime and was therefore tried as an adult. At this point, it's just not fair, and it's incomprehensible what Hill is going through. Given that neither of the defendants had a criminal history prior to the incident, this is an intriguing move by the prosecution. Hill and Young were given a life without parole sentence after the jury found them guilty of the murder. However, 13 long years later, DNA tests showed that neither of the defendants' cellular components found under Kathy Morgan's fingernails, nor the hair found at the crime scene matched either of them. Imagine the sheer suffering Hill endured for something he didn't do. It continues to amaze me how Hill managed to hang on to his life. The prosecutors disputed the findings despite this evidence, claiming that the hairs had nothing to do with the crime and that the cellular material might have come from sweat or drool that the recovery teams had left behind. Even in the face of such overwhelming evidence, it's shocking that the prosecutors were so resistant. Young was killed in a hit-and-run incident shortly after Harold and Young were finally let out of jail. This almost leads us to believe that this is almost a plot to clip both of them. Hill, on the other hand, accused the city of Chicago, the police, and the two detectives involved in the case of coercing a confession and violating his civil rights in a complaint he filed against them. The case was resolved for $1.25 million, of which Hill received $500,000 and the remainder was paid to the lawyers. It's surprising that the detectives were only asked to make a pitiful $7,500 payment for their roles in this whole fiasco. You think that's all? Wait until you hear this. It should be noted that Hill is currently serving a 27-year sentence after being found guilty once more of an unrelated charge of armed robbery. In spite of this, it is obvious that Harold Hill was let down by the legal system in the past. This case emphasizes the need for justice system reform to prevent erroneous convictions and make sure that those who abuse their power are held accountable. Starting with the investigation and continuing through the trial and conviction, the Harold Hill case is a tragedy of errors. Hill was wrongfully detained for 13 years, and because the system made him a criminal, he was never given the opportunity to adapt to life outside of prison. He was completely screwed over by the system, and the police only received $7,500 each. When police officers commit acts like the ones they did, they should be imprisoned for a minimum of the same amount of time as the victims they imprison. Up next, we have an oddball in the form of Sergeant Mario Cardona versus Daniel Garza. After being thrown and pinned to the ground, Daniel Garza was rendered helpless. Officer Mario Cardona, a longtime friend of Garza's, was on the verge of breaking his wrist. Confronting a criminal and keeping him confined is one thing, but putting a civilian without a reason is shocking. Garza recalled, "I was trying to be a man and trying to hold in the pain, but man, that wrist lock hurts. He's just bending it and bending it." But why did Cardona go so far as to nearly break his wrist? His actions were apparently driven by rage toward Garza, whom he accuses of attempting to kidnap his stepdaughter. But are cops subjected to such an authority in the first place? It appears that the two men had a long history together because Garza had once dated Naomi Villanueva, the stepdaughter of Cardona. Villanueva left her parents' home to live with a friend because the relationship had reached its breaking point. However, Villanueva was allegedly taken from her friend's home in May 2015 by Garza without her consent and brought to her parents' residence in Whittier, where Cardona lived across the street. Garza was performing pilates in his garden when Cardona saw him and told him to go to the street. Cardona started his assault as soon as Garza sat down. Garza claimed that he was not the aggressor, and a neighbor who saw the incident attested to Garza's innocence. As soon as they arrived on the scene, the sheriff's deputies saw redness on Garza's face, bruises and abrasions on his knees, and redness on his wrist. After Garza complained about Cardona, the city of Los Angeles, Chief Beck, and Cardona were named as defendants in a federal lawsuit. Garza claimed that he had been the victim of a false arrest, an arbitrary search and seizure, overuse of force, an assault and battery, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The trial also featured a video of the incident captured by one of Garza's neighbors. They had made up a story of what had happened to make him look like a hero and me look like a criminal, Daniel Garza. The hearing was presided over by U.S. District Judge Stephen V. Wilson, who heard former Deputy City Attorney Michael Amarian speak in defense of the city. Cardona was found to have acted maliciously as an off-duty officer by the jury, and on June 26, 2017, he was ordered to pay Garza $210,000 in damages. In addition, the court added $664,000 in attorney's fees and $26,000 in post-trial costs. The city of L.A. refused to take responsibility for Cardona's actions and even refused to indemnify the officer, forcing him to pay for the charges out of his pocket. Jim DeSimone, Garza's attorney, claims, "This is the problem with the LAPD. This is why people are out on the street." The incident serves as an example of how police can abuse people and get away with it. In this instance, however, Garza was able to confront the authorities who had infringed upon his rights and prevail in his lawsuit against Cardona. It is clear that police officers cannot get away with using excessive force against citizens after the jury found Cardona guilty of malice. It is important to note that this case also emphasizes how crucial it is for citizens to be aware of their rights and to speak out against law enforcement when they believe those rights have been violated. Garza's decision to accuse Cardona of using excessive force and file a complaint against him demonstrates that people can take legal action to stop police brutality. What do you think of these cases? Which do you think is most unfair? Sound off in the comments below and make sure to let us know if we missed out on anything. While you are at it, make sure to hit that subscribe and leave a like to never miss an update from us. Thanks for watching.